we're going to take a look at making equivalent fractions. So up in the top left, I have two fractions being represented. So on the left, I have 1/4. 1 out of 4 is shaded, so it's 1/4. And then on the right, we have 2/8. 2 out of 8 are shaded. And 1/4 is equal to 2/8, or equivalent to 2/8. I can tell that they're equivalent because they're both shaded the exact same. Their shadedness is equivalent. So 1/4 is equal or equivalent to 2/8. Now let's look at the one in the middle here. So this one here, we have 4 shaded out of 6. So on the left is 4, 6, and then on the right we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 shaded out of 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. So we have 12/18, and they're both shaded the same amount, so I know they're equal or equivalent. So 4, 6 is equal to 12/18. So 4, 6 is equivalent or equal to 12/18. Now here on the bottom, on the left, we have 3/5. 3 out of 5 are shaded, and then on the right we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 shaded out of 7, 8, 9, 10 all together. And 3/5 is equal or equivalent to 6/10 because they're both shaded the same. But I'm noticing something else here. Let's look in the top left. We have 1/4 is equal or equivalent to 2/8, and I know they're equal because it's shaded the exact same. The blue and the green are shaded the same amount. But look at this. 1 times 2 is 2, and 4 times 2 is 8. Now let's look at the one in the middle here. 4 times 3 is 12. 6 times 3 is 18. Now on the bottom here, 3 times 2 is 6, and 5 times 2 is 10. So actually, another way to make equivalent fractions, besides drawing them and shading them, which could be pretty tedious, is to multiply the numerator and denominator times the exact same number. So 1/4 is equivalent to 2/8, but 1/4 could also be equal to 4/16, because I multiplied the numerator and denominator times the same number. 1 times 4 is 4, and 4 times 4 is 16. I could do another one that's equal or equivalent to 1/4. Why don't I multiply the numerator and denominator times 10? 1 times 10 is 10, and 4 times 10 is 40. 1/4 is equal or equivalent to 10/40. So a way to make equivalent fractions is to multiply the numerator and denominator times the same number. So on the top here we have 3/5, and I'm going to make a fraction that's equivalent to 3/5. So if I want to make a fraction that's equivalent to 3/5, I just multiply the numerator and denominator times the same number. How about 4? I'm going to multiply the numerator and denominator times 4. I'm not multiplying the fraction, because 3/5 times 4 is something different. What I'm doing is making an equivalent fraction. And in order to make an equivalent fraction, or one way to do it, is to multiply the numerator and denominator times the same number. So the numerator is 3, the denominator is 5, and I'm going to multiply them by 4. 3 times 4 is 12, 5 times 4 is 20. 3/5 is equal or equivalent to 12/20. If I drew a picture of 3/5 and drew a picture of 12/20, they would be shaded the exact same amount. Let's look here at the middle with 2/7. If I wanted to make a fraction that's equivalent to 2/7, I just multiply the numerator and denominator times the same number. How about 6? I'm going to multiply the numerator and denominator times 6. 2 times 6 is 12. 7 times 6 is 42. 2/7 is equal or equivalent to 12/42. Now I have 1/4 or 1/4, and I want to write a fraction that's equal or equivalent to 1/4. So I'm going to multiply the numerator and denominator by the same number. I'll choose 3. So 1 times 3 is 3, and 4 times 3 is 12, and 1/4 is equal or equivalent to 3/12. I can even draw a picture just to make sure. So on the left, I'm going to shade in 1/4. So we have 1/4 on the left. Now on the right, I'm going to shade in 3/12. So I need to divide this into 12. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Here's my 12s, and I want to shade in 3 of them. 1, 2, 3. And what do you know? They're both shaded the exact same. 1/4 is equal or equivalent to 3/12. I know they're equivalent because when I draw a picture, they're shaded the exact same amount. Another reason is because if you take 1/4 and multiply the numerator and denominator by 3, you get 3/12. So they're equivalent. Now I've got some more pictures. So now up here, I'm going to write what fraction I see. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is shaded out of 10. And then on the right, 1, 2, 3 are shaded out of 5. And 6/10 is equivalent to 3/5. They're shaded the exact same. Now let's look at the one in the middle. Here I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 shaded out of 18. And then on the right, 1, 2, 3, 4 shaded out of 6. And those are equal or equivalent because they're shaded the exact same. Now in the bottom, I have 2 shaded out of 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then over here, there's 1 shaded out of 4. And those are equivalent because they're shaded the exact same amount. But once again, I'm noticing something else. If I take 6/10 and divide the numerator and denominator by 2, I get 3/5. And over here, if I divide the numerator and denominator by 3, I get 4/6. And here, what am I dividing by here? 2. So another way to make equivalent fractions is to divide the numerator and denominator by the same number. So here I divided the 6 by 2 and the 10 by 2. Here I divided the 12 by 3 and the 18 by 3. So now I've got some fractions, and I'm going to make some equivalent fractions by dividing the numerator and denominator by the same number. So in the upper left here, I have 4/6, and I want to write a fraction that's equivalent to 4/6. And I want to divide the numerator and denominator by the same number. So I need to think in my head what number divides into 4 and divides into 6 evenly with no remainder. 2. So I can do 4 divided by 2 and 6 divided by 2. 4 divided by 2 is 2. 6 divided by 2 is 3. 4/6 is equal to 2/3. I could even draw a picture to check. So over here, here's 1/6, 2/6, 3/6, 4/6. Now over here, I have 1/3, 2/3, and they are shaded the same amount. I didn't draw it perfectly, but had I drawn it perfectly, they'd be shaded the same amount. 4/6 is equivalent to 2/3. I divided the 4 by 2 and the 6 by 2. Now let's look at the one underneath it, 8/20. If I want to make an equivalent fraction for 8/20, by dividing the numerator and denominator by the same number, I have to think of a number that divides evenly into 8 and 20. 4. I can divide 8 by 4 and 20 by 4. So 8 divided by 4 is 2. 20 divided by 4 is 5. 8/20 is equal to 2/5. Maybe you were thinking you wanted to divide by 2. That's certainly okay. So 8 divided by 2 is 4, and 20 divided by 2 is 10. 8/20 is also equal to 4/10. Let's say you wanted to divide by 5. Is that going to work? Let's see. Yeah, you can do 20 divided by 5, and that's 4. But can you do 8 divided by 5? Nope, that one's not going to work. When you're dividing the numerator and denominator by the same number, what you divide by has to divide evenly into both the numerator and denominator. So let's look at the upper right. We have 6/10. I want to make a fraction that's equivalent to 6/10. So I have to divide by a number that divides evenly into 6 and 10. The only number I can choose is 2. It's the only number that divides evenly into 6 and 10. So 6 divided by 2 is 3. 10 divided by 2 is 5. 6/10 is equivalent to 3/5. Now let's look at the last one over here. I have 3/12. I want to make a fraction that's equivalent to 3/12. So I need to divide the numerator and denominator by the same number. The only number that divides evenly into 3 and 12 is 3. So 3 divided by 3 is 1, 12 divided by 3 is 4. 3/12 is equal or equivalent to 1/4. So remember, there's 2 ways to make equivalent fractions. One way is to multiply the numerator and denominator by the same number, like we did before, and another way is to divide the numerator and denominator by the same number. Now let's try to find the missing part of the fraction. So up in the top we have 5/8 is equal to 15 something. So I need to find the denominator and the fraction on the right. So I'm going to make these little things here that I like to call reflecting rainbows because they really help me to figure out what I'm thinking. So I'm noticing here on the top the 5 got changed to a 15. So how could that happen? Now, to make equivalent fractions, you multiply the numerator and denominator by the same number or divide by the same number. But if my 5 got changed to a 15 here, I couldn't have divided. So I must have multiplied. So 5 times what number is 15? 3. Whatever you do to the top, you do to the bottom. Because it's an equal fraction, it's equivalent fraction. Since there's an equal sign here, I know they're equal. So that means whatever I do to the numerator, I need to do to the denominator. So in the top, 5 times 3 equals 15. Now in the denominator at the bottom, 8 times 3 equals 24. 5/8 is equivalent to 15/24. Now let's look in the middle here. So I'm going to do my reflecting rainbows here. Now what happened here in the numerator? The 3 got changed to a 12. Oh, I must have multiplied by 4. Whatever you do to the top, you do to the bottom. So now 3 times 4 is 12. What number would I multiply by 4 to get 20? 5. And 3 times 4 makes 12. 5 times 4 is 20. So my missing denominator here is a 5. Now let's look on the bottom here. So my missing number is on the top, on the numerator, so I'm going to have to look at the denominator here. So my 20 got changed to a 5, so it got smaller, so I must have divided. So 20 divided by 4 makes 5. So if I divided the denominator by 4, that means the numerator gets divided by 4. So 8 divided by 4 makes 2. So 8/20 is equivalent to 2/5.